Well, welcome back to Hey, it's Luskos.
Hello.
It's been a week. We've been gone all that time. Did you miss us?
All that time.
Here we are.
Here we are. We're back again.
Well, thanks for
whether you
listening,
like it or
everybody.
not.
Jennie and Levi Lusko here. Still to come on this almost Halloween edition of Hey, it's Luskos. We have Nick and Christine Caine.
Oh my gosh.
Returning to the podcast.
Yeah. It's amazing.
They were on back in November of 2020, so it's been a minute, almost 2 years since they've been on the podcast.
Gosh.
Where has the time gone?
Time warp.
Between then and now, they've probably accumulated 1 million air miles traveling around the world, fighting human trafficking.
Yeah.
Through their A21 campaign. And of course, Christine is a powerhouse preacher and a stranger probably to no one who likes awesome things. But if you are a trafficker, beware. Man, they're coming at you with their iron fist.
Yeah.
And we praise God for what he's doing through Nick and Christine Caine. If you haven't ever listened to her speak or picked up one of her books, her most recent is called Resilient Hope, 100 Devotions for Building Endurance in an Unpredictable World. This came out back in August. That's fabulous. I've got a copy of it sitting
beautiful too.
in my office.
Nice gift.
That's right. And then her most recent trade book was How Did I Get Here? Finding Your Way Back to God When Everything is Pulling You Away. So you'll want to pick up one of those books.
This conversation is incredible if you're married, obviously also if you're not married, but it's just a beautiful insight into them as a couple, who they are, their why, their mission. It's so inspiring. If you feel like you have any problems or struggles, listen to this conversation, and I think that it'll help you look up and see that it's not so bad.
That's exactly right. The theme of the podcast for the fall. We were on a podcast recently, and every time the host made a mistake, they would say, "We'll just cut that out." But I love that on Hey, it's Luskos, we never cut anything out. You get all of our mistakes, which if you really did start editing, it would really get messy. You'd have to edit it all.
Yeah, that's true.
So hopefully you're here because you like the unvarnished, unedited, unpolished, unsweetened, just Hey, it's Luskos.
I think it's sweetened.
You like it sweetened?
I think it is sweetened.
Want a little. I mean, they make the sound better.
It's unpolished, but it is
We
sweetened.
don't edit stuff out where we make mistakes and sound dumb.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Totally. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit.
Well, maybe you do. The theme of the podcast is what I was trying to say, is marriage. We're talking as we, this fall, are releasing our very first book we've written together, The Marriage Devotional, releases November 15th, but we're bringing guests on to talk about marriage from different angles. So we had, of course, Jim Cimbalo last week talking about what it's been like for him as a husband, how humility's played a role in their marriage. He used the phrase 10,000 new beginnings. That's the secret to being married for 50 years. Hello.
Gosh.
10,000 new beginnings.
So good.
And this week, Nick and Christine really talk about what marriage looks like, staying close in the middle of a hurricane of a move of God.
Hurricane.
Christine Caine.
Nick.
And Nick. Well, it's one of her nicknames.
Yeah.
Hurricane. But they talk about what it has looked like to stay close together while serving God in such an incredible way as they are. And I love that the advice they give, I'm not going to spoil it. It boils down to some really basic advice at the end of the day. You think it's some big secret. Oh, how do you travel the world preaching to millions? And the advice they give is what will apply to you if you've been married for 20 weeks, or if you've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
Well, with Halloween just around the corner, Jennie.
Halloween's coming up.
You got your costume ready?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not a big fan of dressing up.
The only one that has their costume ready is Clover
Dawn.
And Olivia, actually.
Oh.
And Lennox is still deciding.
Well, I thought we would play a little Halloween spooky heads up. We like heads up.
How do we feel about Halloween?
Jennie, we're not getting into it. We're not getting into that.
It's just a fun thing. Like, I feel like our kids love to dress up. Like, they get dressed up on Halloween, and then like the next minute after they get out of their costume, they're planning the next year's costume. Okay. So I think it's just a fun thing.
So I'm going to put this on my forehead, and you have to try and get me to say the word.
What are you putting on your forehead?
I have no idea. Hopefully not the mark of the beast. There's no way to know. Okay, here we go.
Oh, she rides around on a broom.
A witch?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Wait, why'd you do that?
I don't know.
Oh, don't know.
Oh,
You
wrong
did
way.
correct. Wait, what is this?
What does it
okay.
say?
He sings songs.
Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin? I was like, why was my first guess Ricky
sometimes
Martin?
dresses.
Livin' La Vida Loca. Elvis Presley.
No, what am I thinking?
John Lennon.
No, he
sings
used to be
songs
in
as
One
a kid.
Direction.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Oh, The Blank Kingdom.
Animal.
Disney is also known as
Magic.
Oh, she used to be in the show Barney, but now she's a singer, also actress.
Britney Spears.
No.
I don't know. Christina Aguilera.
She's friends with
Lisa Marie Presley. What was the name? Oh, let's see what it is. Abbott Elementary? Harry Styles?
Styles was the one that
Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
She was on Barney?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I never knew. Okay, Jenny, your turn.
Oh gosh.
Are you starting to fan yourself yet?
Nope. I'm just fine.
You're just fine. I'll believe it when I see it. Da 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 da.
Addams Family.
Yep. I don't know what that is. Films that make you jump.
Scary, horror,
Scary.
thriller,
Scary.
scary movie.
Yes. A domicile you go into that's got witches and scary things.
Haunted house.
Yes. Ooh. A drink at Starbucks. People were very excited for
Pumpkin
this.
spice latte.
Yeah. Don't know what that is. I think it's by Stephen King, though. A home where a giant lizard with wings lives.
Dragon. Castle.
Home.
Cave.
A home.
Home.
Another word for home.
Dragon house. House of dragons.
Yes. Somebody sucks your blood.
Vampire.
Yes. A tiny human. Little baby. All right. This was good. I feel like we learned a lot.
Wow.
Who won?
Me.
There's no way.
Oh, no, you
won.
did. Wait,
I
how
think
does that work? I
if
think we're on
I'm
the
giving
same
the
team.
clues, I win.
But we're on the same team.
All right, that's not fun. If we just get one scoreboard, like marriage.
It's like marriage.
It is like marriage. We do believe in one scoreboard in marriage.
We do.
But not in heads up.
I don't believe in haunted houses, though.
You don't believe in haunted houses, though? Like that they're a thing? Like, no, you don't really believe houses get haunted, but they exist at like state fairs.
But I don't like them.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't like Halloween as the
Honestly,
general thing.
I'm going to just hot take here. I could do without Halloween.
Yeah.
It could all go away tomorrow, and I wouldn't be sad in the least.
Totally. Although I feel like nowadays, the celebration of Halloween has like ratcheted up like 100 times of what it used to be.
It's
like Christmas. Like there's Halloween lights. There's Halloween. Like you find out who the crazy, wild people are because they put creepy stuff in front of their houses.
It is interesting to watch from when we were little kids to now. Halloween becomes so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, of course, you get because it's commercial. So people are looking to make money.
Right.
I mean, it passed Easter a long time ago in terms of money spent. It's the
Wow.
number 2 most commercially viable holiday in the calendar year.
Wow.
So people are making money. You know, they're going to find a way to make more money. And you're right. It has gotten crazy. But it's also not for nothing that it is increasing even as Christianity is decreasing and even religion in general is decreasing because it's almost this secular religious day.
True.
Not in a like I worship the devil way necessarily, even just like in a, this is something to get around and something to celebrate, but it's almost like an anti-holiday.
Yeah, totally. Interesting.
Not a big fan.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we are pleased to introduce you.
I would like to say it is an opportunity because like if you live in a neighborhood where you'll have trick-or-treaters, like I love giving lots of candy with an invite to church or something. Like I love that. Like I love the opportunity of outreach and what that looks like.
Loving people, people coming to your door, blessing people with good candy. Mm-hmm. What was the weirdest thing?
AKA cavities.
Oh, yeah. What's your favorite candy to get on Halloween if you're going to steal candy from your kids?
Okay, well, I will say when I was a kid, the little tiny boxes of Nerds were always my favorite.
So if you love Jennie, if you love Jennie, buy her Nerds.
But now I would say like the little mini
Reese's
Butterfingers.
Peanut butter cup.
I do like Reese's peanut butter cups, the tiny ones.
Yeah, very good.
How about you?
Candy? Well, when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to trick or treat. Wasn't allowed to even go to alternative Halloween parties.
But did that ever change? Like, did you ever trick or treat, or were you always not allowed to? Because I started off.
Feel weird taking my kids trick or treating, which I have. Our kids.
It is strange.
I feel weird. I have this weird conflicted feeling about it.
It is weird though. The whole thing is weird.
I don't like it.
You're going to someone's house asking them.
I don't dislike it on the basis of like my theological stance. I just don't like it. Yes. I don't like walking around. I don't like the process of asking for handouts. You feel like you're begging. It's a strange feeling.
Well, because for me growing up, we celebrated Halloween up until 4th grade.
Yeah.
But then there was a shift in my parents' like belief system, and then all of a sudden we were not allowed to. So it changed, and we could only do things that were called Hallelujah nights at my church.
Okay, we were so hardcore. I wasn't even allowed to go to Hallelujah nights because I think my mom thought that was going to end up going to the devil somehow too, because it was like the artist formerly known as Halloween, and you can't get behind that. That's no good. And she would give us these terrible stories about people who put razor blades in apples and poison in candies and druids who are sacrificing children to the devil. It's terrible, man.
Shiver me timbers.
My most memorable Halloween, she made us stay up till midnight praying for all the kids that are going to be sacrificed to the devil and animals on Halloween. So
I mean, there's goodness in there somewhere.
I mean, it would probably take a whole team of psychologists to pick through what's wrong with me based on my upbringing in Halloween, but I'm just still not a fan. I'm not a fan. I don't like driving around my neighborhood and seeing like a casket that pops open and like a skeleton starts clawing its way out. I just feel like that's not my team, man. I'm not on team darkness. I'm on team light. Like, I'm just like, oh, Jesus, bless this evil dark day. I think I'm getting more crotchety in my old age too. Like,
but you're so kind in your crotchetiness.
I don't like some 14-foot tall werewolf like piercing with its beady red eyes at me. Yeah,
that's a weird one.
Outside the window of our home. And these people look so normal the rest of the year. You see him, you're like, oh, you look like a nice person. And then Halloween, it's like, you're a deranged person who keeps zombies in Tupperware inside of your basement. And now you're letting your freak flag fly in public on this one day a year where you get to really be a weirdo.
Oh, man.
Those are my thoughts on Halloween.
Yeah. I'm so glad you shared those thoughts.
It was a rant. Okay, I apologize. But I'm not judging you for it. If you really like it, I'm fine with that. My kids dress up, and you're probably going to take them trick-or-treating.
I don't know.
Let me know how that goes.
I don't have a plan. That's the problem. It's fine.
Well, let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on Halloween and whether you disagree or agree with any of the opinions expressed. Or don't. No, I do like the comments. I like it when people let us know on social media what they're feeling and thinking. And I think, of course, if I'm like, you didn't ask me this, but if you pin me down on it, like from the Bible, I would probably say it's like that meat sacrifice to idol stuff. It's like, hey, if your conscience doesn't give you a hard time, then great, If you need to have like dismembered body parts all around your house and you think that somehow brings God glory, then, that's amazing. God bless you and all of your Halloween decorations. But don't ask me to go walk around spirit, because I get the creepiest feeling inside my soul walking around those Halloween stores.
Yeah.
It's just a bad way.
But then on the other hand, the people who are mean to people who celebrate Halloween.
I'm not
like,
on that team either.
Okay. That's not okay either, because it's like there's freedom, and if we don't need to judge each other for what we do, but I feel like we could just celebrate if we want to, don't celebrate if you don't want to, and don't be meanie pants.
Yeah, that's it. See, if you like Halloween, I think that's more power to you. I just am not a big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but be nice.
Yeah.
Eat some candy.
Brush your teeth.
Look, brush your teeth. I'm trying not to eat a ton of candy right now.
Same.
I'm trying to really get back. I broke my rib. I couldn't lift weights. So, while I was not lifting weights, I put on all this weight. Why? Because, actually, muscle weighs more than fat. So I think I lost weight, but it was a bad kind of losing weight. It's like you get on the scale and it's going down. You're like, that's not a good sign. So I'm right now trying to get back some of that weight. So I'm taking my collagen peptides and vitamins.
You're doing good. And you look amazing.
Do all those things,
Here's my confession.
What's
we
your
went to
confession?
Trader Joe's in Spokane the other day because we don't
did.
have a Trader Joe's where we live.
No, we don't.
And
Anyone
we bought
listening
those.
at Trader Joe's, come on down.
Yes, please. But I bought a box of meringues. They're vanilla meringues, and it says fat-free on them. So that's one thing that's nice, is that they're fat-free, but they are full of sugar.
You know what sugar gets converted into in your body?
Fat.
Fat.
So it's really not fat-free.
It's
So I should just
fat-full.
cross that.
Fat-full.
Cross that off.
Full of fat.
But I've been eating those, I think I've been the only one in the family eating those. I don't think anyone
I
likes
haven't
them.
even seen them. They look like garlic cloves, right?
They do. They're so good.
You like them?
I do.
I like that.
I didn't realize I liked
that
them so much.
Pickle chips they had there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. What else is really good at Trader Joe's?
Mango.
Oh, the
Dried
mango
mango.
slices.
I love
I like
Trader
that
Joe's.
granola they have. That's like a weird granola.
Oh, yeah. It's like little chip bowls.
Little chip bowls, but with granola in it.
Yeah.
Like birdseed
Yeah.
and like tiny Frito-Lay's chips, but they're like breakfast.
Yeah.
That's delicious.
It's
It just
really
makes me
good.
feel like I'm on a tour bus. Because I
You
remember
had
one
those.
tour we ate every single breakfast on the tour bus, every single time out of tiny styrofoam bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I eat it,
We were ruining the ozone layer.
I ratatouille. It's not my fault. I didn't stock that tour bus. What was I supposed to do? Eat it out of my hands like some sort of a savage?
Just pour it on in.
Yeah. Well, listen. If you're still here, you're going to love this conversation with the Caines.
It's so good. Please listen. Stay.
How was that experience, you think, of us playing heads up if people were just listening and not watching?
I don't know.
Well, if you are just listening, you should make your way to YouTube and hit subscribe by searching Levi and Jennie Lusko so you don't miss these when they come in. But do let us know on social media or however, whenever we can hear from you about Halloween thoughts, and we'd love to have our opinion changed. Tell us why Halloween is so good.
Wow. I'm not going to change.
What if they tell you a good case? Make a great case
We
for it.
do kind of celebrate it. We don't not.
Yeah, right. I don't celebrate it. What is there to celebrate?
We don't. I guess it's not celebrate. We
Is it fun
we
dressing
dress
up?
up and we eat candy and
Give
we'll
candy
give
to
candy
strangers?
out, and sometimes we'll, if it's not too cold here in Montana.
That's not celebrating it.
Yeah.
Yay, Halloween. Like, that's the team that I'm not
But
on.
it is something that is talked about pretty much almost every day of the year in our home. As far as for Halloween, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be this. No, I'm gonna be this. Like almost every day it's
That's
talked
true.
about, which is so
It's
weird.
true. We celebrate Halloween. I'm ashamed. What kind of leadership am I providing for my home? All right. Listen to this conversation. It's going to do you good. Nick and Kristen Caine, everybody. Nick and Christine Caine, welcome back to Hey, It's the Luskos.
Come on. We're excited because we got us back.
We want more.
Honestly.
Anytime you get to hang out with the Luskos is a good day.
Yes. Well, we feel the same way about
Oh,
you
we
guys.
do.
So we thought we would just start just catching up. What is happening in you guys' lives? I mean, I know it's your passports are getting fuller and fuller. What's been going on with you guys?
We've been roving around the world lately. So we've been making up for lost time due to COVID. We've managed to catch up with nearly all of our offices around the world. So I think it's basically 21 countries or something like that since June, and a bunch of US states. And it's been awesome just to see what God is doing, to see how the team is going, to see how people are being reached. It's just awesome.
Loving it. Yeah, we just flew in from South Korea, so we're feeling, not quite sure what time zone we're in, but we've gone like everywhere, from South America, Africa, Asia, Europe. We were born for this. So, the last years I had to make up. I mean, I was just running up and down my street so that I could pretend I was going somewhere.
That is so funny. Just packing for no reason and unpacking. Oh my gosh! No,
My children were like, "Mom, the Lord had to end the lockdown and my kids like had bags packed by the front door saying, "Could you both please leave?"
Leave.
okay.
It's time. It's
That's
time for
funny.
you to go.
That's funny. Well, we're gonna talk marriage and stuff, but I wanted to at first just kind of begin drilling down on that. Obviously, when you talk about your offices, for the one or two people listening who don't know, you're referring to your A21 offices, and you guys have what, 200 different staff members?
Roughly, yeah.
Wow.
In these countries around the world where you guys are fighting human trafficking, prosecuting traffickers, rescuing people who have been bought and sold as human chattel, as human, goods. And I mean, my God, you guys are like modern day superheroes.
Seriously.
Well, we get to lead a team of modern day superheroes who are absolutely incredible, who are working with police and law enforcement all around the world, and just doing some incredible stuff as far as interdicting actual cases of slavery and ideally stopping slavery before it happens through some of our prevention and awareness stuff, as well as prosecuting traffickers and getting traffickers in jail. So that we're very fortunate that we have a team of absolutely phenomenal people around the world who are incredibly committed and capable.
And right now for us, it's like very heightened because we had to move people out of our Kiev office into Warsaw, Poland because of the war, and it's been very difficult because we could only move the women out, so their husbands and fathers are still in Kiev. Nick's been over a few times to oversee that work in Warsaw, and then you also went to Kiev during the war. So it's like at the moment, during a refugee crisis, of course, women and children are the most vulnerable when you've got all the men still in the country because they've got to fight, and then women and children are leaving. And, during a crisis like a war, nobody's looking for anyone. So the most vulnerable are women and children. So it is amazing. My respect for our team, our Ukrainian team. Not only are they going through their own trauma, they've had to leave spouses and get their kids into schools in Poland and get their lives, but they're still on the front lines working with the United Nations Refugee Commission and helping to process migrants coming across the border and refugees coming across the border. What this trip has done, and coming back from South Korea too, is made us so aware of the pain and the suffering and the resilience, though, of people in the world. And, it was so interesting. One of the people over there said to us, "Man, it seems like you people in America, you like invent problems. Like we have real war and real problems."
Wow.
We don't have time to sit on social media and invent problems, yelling at each other because we're just trying to actually practically outwork the gospel during a war.
Hello.
And so what it has done for us being, since June, we've only been in the country a handful of weeks, if that, and had our children with us for a lot of that. The thing is that it's just helped reset my focus and our focus as a family. Our children, literally, our eldest daughter who's at school in London right now, thanked us. Like she called us to say thank you for raising us with a global worldview. Thank you and even we took them to Egypt during this trip and across, different areas in Europe that are in extreme crisis right now. And even Sophia, who's 16, was like, and she said, "Mummy, thank you that you didn't raise us in a bubble. Thank you that you didn't raise us normal." And I mean, you never quite know when they're little and you live the life we live, what it's going to be like. But then when they're 16 and 20, and they actually call you to thank you, you kind of go, "Thank you, Jesus." Like, thank you, Jesus, that we led, and I pray by God's grace, continue to lead a Jesus-first life and marriage and family kind of thing.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, you tend to worry a lot when your kids are young, like, how am I screwing them up? Like, how much of this is coming back up in counseling later? So it is nice every once in a while when there's some proof of concept, like, okay, we did something right. Like, they're being nice to each other. They're, just got little signs of fruit, right?
Yeah, you do. You hang on to that. And especially when it's same as you guys, like it's all in, whether you're planting a local church, but with, so much impact, or whether you're on an airplane all the time, globally like us. At the end of the day, whenever you put Jesus first, it's going to not be normal. And it's not going to be like everybody else is doing it. And I remember when we first got married, there were some people, again, in very small circles, but loud circles, that, really questioned whether we were doing it right. Like, should Christine either be speaking? Should you guys be traveling? And should you be taking your children with you? What's going to happen to them? And it was almost like, sometimes I think you don't even need the devil when you've got Christians, because Christians are going to speak.
Wow, say it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And there wasn't that many role models because we're older than you guys. So you're kind of like just on your face going, Jesus, I'm trying to do the best that I can. I think this is right. It's not how everyone else is doing it. But Jesus called us. And so I remember even when we got married, it was like, there was never an option. It was always going to be Jesus first, whatever that means, and the mission first and the call of God first. Then kids come along and you go, okay, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And then, you get, here you are 30 odd years later, you get dumped in the middle of a war zone and you go, I don't think I got that much to complain about really, because now I have to be able to look at our staff in the eye while they're on a border, kissing their husband and their fathers goodbye. And I have to be able to look at them and go, Jesus is worthy. Jesus will be with you. Jesus is enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're worried about, will my kids need therapy because we're in the will of God? I mean, I'm talking about, I've got to look at a kid in the eye that's been trafficked and say, Jesus can heal you.
Yeah,
Jesus can restore. If I don't believe that, then how can I not believe Jesus is going to be with me because my kid goes to church on a Sunday?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is just that it all. We may be a bit extreme for your marriage series, guys. I don't know. But
No, you are
You're
right.
just the right kind of extreme. That's what we need. Nick, what has been the impact, sort of as the dust settles on the pandemic, so to speak? What do you think the cumulative net impact of COVID was and is on human trafficking by and large? Net positive, net negative, same?
They've just released the latest study, and they estimate that there's now over 50 million people in slavery around the world. So since between the last time and now, we're up 10 million. The pandemic left a whole lot of people vulnerable to exploitation. And where people are vulnerable, they take chances, and there's people who are looking to exploit them. So the pandemic enhanced exploitation of people and enhanced trafficking around the world. And we've seen that in Africa, Asia, and Europe, and here in the US. We literally can't hire staff fast enough as far as social workers to deal with the increase in trafficking that we're seeing right around the world. We saw just a couple of weeks ago a container load of people rescued in one place we're working at the moment. We're working with law enforcement where we may see over 1,000 cases in the next 3 months on some of the operations that they're working on. So it is just absolutely tragic, the vulnerability of people and the willingness of humanity to exploit that vulnerability for profit. It is shocking when you see the numbers that are happening at the moment.
Oh, well, it's horrible to hear, and yet thanks be to God that He's has, like you've said, you can't hire people fast enough. That there are people wanting to get in that battle and fight that fight. And I know every time I always text you guys, like traveling around the world, seeing your campaign up at airports and just that you guys are doing, like the signs of human trafficking, what people can do, how we as churches and everyone listening can support the efforts of A21. Yes. I know our year-end grant cycle's coming up, and we can't wait to raise money to help you guys and to do what small part we can to just say, hey, we want to be a part of the solution for this.
Yes.
But it's kind of like what you're saying is kind of like how in recession and in times of inflation, there are people who actually will make lots of money in that time. It doesn't just affect the poor people disproportionately, but it also helps the bottom line of those who are richer. And so similarly, it seems like in a time like this, there are people ready to take advantage of people being in hard times.
Absolutely. One of the we saw people who were being dragged into forced labor in Africa making masks during the pandemic. So wherever there's opportunity, people will exploit people for profit.
Oh my gosh. Chris, I have to ask, one of my favorite things I've seen in the last 6 months on Instagram has been the footage of you preaching in the Middle East.
Yes.
And you were talking about that when you were with us last, when we were riding horses, which we're due for a redo, by the way.
We are.
We were last.
So much I love the outdoors now, so I'm up to Montana.
Well,
Yes.
we were riding horses in the snow. It doesn't get much better than that. It was so picturesque and beautiful, and we were talking kids and ministry and life, and we ate Mexican food, so we'll have to do that again. Or maybe do snowboarding or something like that, although we have to be kind on Christine's knees.
I'll find it. I'll get back on a horse.
Yeah, there you go. Let the horse break its leg. They take the horse out and shoot it, though. They won't do that to us. But you were telling us about the opportunity to go to the Middle East, and you've been, and it seems like you were. I feel like I was looking at Acts chapter 2. Here you are preaching. Tell that story. That was just unbelievable.
This was awesome. The one I was talking to you about was Qatar, which was absolutely miraculous. And the one recently on this lap around the globe was more up in Lahore in Pakistan, which in itself was like surreal. And the footage that you've seen in the last few months was that, because I thought, I want to put it up because I want people to see it. They're not going to believe that in Lahore, Pakistan, tens of thousands of people are out, like old school.
In the open air.
Wow.
Yeah.
Open air, old school, men and women. Of course, they separate the men on one side. But the very fact that half that crowd was men and half the crowd was women, that the men actually came to listen to a woman is surreal. It was even surreal to me. Like I was sitting side of stage, and I wish you guys were there because you love this. You're like me. You love like big evangelism. Some people are kind of not into it, but I'm all about it.
Maybe, like the Pharisees and the devil. So pretty much, let's make that the list. And Michael didn't like David dancing either. Okay, so it is what it is.
Wow.
Exactly. So I've got a few friends left that I could say, man, let's all sit here and like, because you're like, I'm in a movie. I literally was thinking that myself. I'm going, Lord, is this real? I'm in a whole outfit. And I had they bought me all these beautiful outfits and I was like living my best life. I even had to go to the gym, guys, in one of those outfits because I was the only woman in the gym.
Wow.
How much I would pay to see you on an elliptical in a burqa, Christine?
Whole outfit. It was next level. And I'm like, I was laughing at myself. Don't worry. All things to all people, man. I will wear anything.
Yes.
I wish. Well, how did that not make Instagram? By the way, Nick, that needed.
I was respectful. I mean, that I was weird. Let me just say. But anyway, so I was all dressed up. Good point. I'm going to do that next time.
It would be your most viral video ever. You in a burqa on an elliptical. Are you a soul cycle?
This is it. I'm going to do that next time.
In Newport, go to Fashion Island and do a soul cycle in a burqa.
That's going to go off. And so but to see the hope, number one, for the women and girls, I cannot tell you how many girls, our own kids' age, yours and mine, they would come up to me and it was like they've just never seen a woman like that.
Wow.
And it's just like now they saw it. It's possible. And again, forget what I did there. It's what they did for my faith. I mean, I couldn't walk anywhere without them. Miss Christine, will you pray? Like them understanding the power of prayer, the power of laying on. I mean, these are people with nothing, like nothing. So that they weren't asking me for anything. They didn't want money. They wanted us to lay hands on them. They wanted, and I went back to my room and I said to Nick, I wonder if I think prayer is as important as they do. I wonder if it actually. Wow. It's no wonder with the Apostle Paul, he says, I want what you've got. I want there's something that happens when you connect with believers, particularly in that region of the world, whether it happened in Egypt, in Cairo, Alexandria, or in Pakistan on this round, or Qatar and Dubai. It does something in my own heart. It's like, I think, my Lord, I can go deeper with you. These people out of desperation is a gift. So out of their desperation for God, they know God in a way where you think, well, anyway, I'll speak for myself, where I think I want to know him like that. I want to go deeper like that. And so having that surreal, when I stood up on that stage and there was just like tens of thousands of people, I'm like going, Lord, I prayed for this, but I don't know that I ever really believed it would really happen. Do you know what I mean? Like I've been praying for decades for the Middle East, for those regions of the world, for the Muslim nations. And I'm like, I'm here. Like I'm actually standing here in the whole outfit, preaching the gospel of a crucified, buried, risen, coming back again Savior as the hope of the world. And people are flocking and responding. And I thought, I don't know, I really did this trip. I thought, if I do nothing else, Lord, this is what I want to do with my life. I just cannot, I didn't even really want to half come back into all the drama of I just thought, I'll just stay here.
Stay.
This.
Yeah.
And people,
Well, when I was watching that footage,
miracles, there were people coming up on stage, and I will testify to this because people would come on stage. I'm talking bona fide, certifiable miracles, like as in physical healings. Again, for Nick and I, we came back and went, it's amazing when you're in a comfortable environment where people are not expecting it, so it doesn't happen, how you forget to really pray for that stuff and to really believe that this, the book of Acts is still happening today in our generation. Yes. So what it has done, and I guess you'll see it in my posts, even last night, I'm believing God for miracles for people right in the West, in this part of the world, because the joy, there was one that was there with a doctor, I believe, on the stage to verify this. I had spoken on Arabic, on television into that region of the world. So with translators, I've done a lot of TV, and we had a meeting. So this was to lead up to the Pakistan meetings. And really believed God to heal people. Well, they brought a woman who had been listening to the program. Now, again, many of these are not believers; they're Muslims, because it goes into the Arab-speaking world. And so, as she was listening, I think I had a word of knowledge about. I think it was a liver, and a liver disease. And anyway, this person that was not a believer was listening to that program, and God healed them. And I'm careful saying this because I do realize people go, well, how do you know? This all happened in real time. This woman heard that I was coming to Pakistan to speak, so she wanted to know, who is this person that I saw on television that prayed? And they brought her. They brought the fact that she was sick with this disease, and her liver now doesn't have that disease anymore. Wow. And they brought her up on stage with her children, and she's become a follower of Jesus. And so what I'm saying is, like, this stuff like really happens. Like it really happens in 2022.
Praise God. Wow.
Yeah, honestly. And then when I saw the footage, I'm like, I just think this, I tell our church sometimes, like, if you really believe Jesus was coming back, how would you live differently than you are? And I think of you two when I say that, because it's like, here you're fighting human trafficking, you're traveling to Pakistan and preaching the gospel, and it's incredible, and we praise God for you, and
so thankful.
Can't wait to see what's coming. Well, goodness, Nick, were you there at that event in Pakistan?
I was. It was pretty amazing to sit and watch the impact of Chris preaching, and just see people come forward and testify. Like, we had a whole bunch of people come forward and testify of healings, but to see that crowd and to see the environment, because it's not an easy place to preach or a safe place to preach.
Yeah, I was going to say, was there any sort of government issues at all, or?
We didn't have any government issues. The people that we're working with have worked very closely with the government to be able to have the right to do that. They've got some really, really sharp people on their team. But to see the security that was necessary around the meeting is quite astounding. It's not something that you would ever see at a US event. But to see the power of the people embracing the Word of God, to see their lives changed, and get to meet some of them was absolutely incredible.
This was a particularly volatile region, and when we were there, it seems like everywhere we go, it's they had just taken Imran Khan, who was the former prime minister, president.
Yeah.
I don't know. Into
He'd been the former president had been jailed on terrorism charges,
and we were 1 hour away from where they took Osama bin Laden. So
I was going to say.
So we're in that part of it,
Wow.
which is obviously high extremism.
A hotbed,
Yes.
yeah, for all kinds of
That's the
things,
best way to word
ISIS
it.
and all that stuff, yeah.
So, and you could tell, there's no doubt. So definitely both there and Qatar were the two times that we were both side of stage and truly got on our knees and prayed and went, well, this
could be it.
And I'm not exaggerating. This could go either way. It really, actually, literally 100%
Right.
could
Oh,
go
It's
either
either
way.
Acts 2 or we're right straight to Revelation. Run of the two.
It is. It's like you either go, do I believe this or not?
yeah.
And we talk to our kids about that too. So yes. Yeah,
Which is far from giving your kids a complex. What a way to set your kids up for success in the kingdom.
Yes.
You're just operating on different metrics.
Yes.
Well, to shift gears a little bit, I think it's such a perfect segue because this is the theater in which you guys' marriage thrives and exists. And with every guest we're bringing on as we talk about marriage in this series, as we're trying to champion that, as we release this marriage devotional, we have a different thing that we kind of wanted to focus in on. And with you two, I think it's, what does it look like seeing your marriage thrive in the midst of this explosive move of God? Because that's what you guys are, to me at least, an encouragement in, is you guys haven't picked one or the other. It's not like your guys' marriage is on the back seat as you guys, we're serving God here. Literally from the very beginning, that prophetic word you got, Christine, when you got said, if you want to, choose Nick, I'm going to exponentially increase what I do through you.
Yeah.
And you've watched that prophecy come to pass many millions of times, probably over than what you could have dreamed, no doubt.
Definitely. Well, I'm thinking with all of that, God did not call us to serve him, get married so we can get divorced. As in, it wasn't like that. He didn't say, oh, I want you to be married and fulfill the call of God. And to fulfill the call of God, that means you're going to have to get divorced. That's not the place. So we knew from the outset, there's got to be a way that this all works together. And that's a matter. And so there's not just one pattern every single day. I don't think in that sense. It's that for us, the mission, we probably spoke about this last time, has always been the thing that we've subordinated ourselves to. So we both, to a degree, when people get nervous with the word submission, well, I would say both of us have come under the mission of God. So when you both come under the mission of God, then the pragmatic practicalities of how you work it out day to day are secondary, and they fall into place when both of you are yielded, I think, ultimately to the mission of God. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We work as a team, and we've got the objectives that we need to achieve, that we want to achieve, the goals that we've set, and then we each have complementary gifts, and we try and work that so that each of our gifts get to be maximized to the fulfillment of the mission. And when we do that, there's no competition, there's no competitiveness, there's no anything apart from a desire to pursue God, love each other. And in the midst of that, God continues to do what only he can do in our marriage, in our family, with our kids. And it's just a joy to behold.
I'll jump in because it's not all easy in that we have to make some very practical decisions too of just where I won't get involved or where Nick won't get involved, because we would do things so entirely different that could end our marriage. We would so it would be more. So in order not to go there, it just makes it easy. And again, it comes down to you just have to be a Christian. So there are certain things that I will push, and I know as a wife I could push it even harder if I really wanted to. But to a degree, organizationally, that would undermine what Nick is doing as a CEO as that. So you just have to dance between, okay, by the leading of the Holy Spirit, like any couple in any marriage, where here do I press in? Where do I actually just yield and pull back? And it's not the end of the world. And what are some things that we could totally just separate? Because most people, they don't have our life in that we are in the same room for most of our lives. One hotel room, one aeroplane. Like it's not normal. So there's other added natural things that are not spiritual. They're very natural that you go, okay. So organizationally, it's just as we've gotten bigger, when you say, you know, Levi, we're watching the miracle of God and things exponentially grow and you've got offices in 19 cities around the world. Well, everything has to change. So it's better that I actually remove myself totally from operations because I've got an opinion about everything. And the fact is it's just going to thwart the mission in that way because I can't do what I do, which is write messages. And, you know, so Nick is like, well, you do what you do. So Nick never gets involved in a message that I write. He never gets, you know, he's never going to tell me how to preach something or how to, what to write or what books to write or whatever. So I can flow there. And he can operationally run stuff. And then you just have to have the fruit of the Spirit like anybody else in the midst of it all. But if you can make the natural adjustments that you need to make, makes life a lot easier. I don't expect Nick to be God. He doesn't expect me to be God. So that's great. So he has
probably
his own
a great relief, honestly.
Marriages are a problem is because people expect from their spouse what you should only get from God.
Come on.
So, you know, and when the minute I expect any of that, then it all gets out of kilter. So I go to Jesus for what only Jesus can give me. Nick goes to Jesus. And then in the midst of that, we celebrate. You ride your mountain bike. I love to hike. He's got his boyfriends. I got my girlfriends. You know, like it just, you just are normal in the midst of it all and don't try to guilt trip anyone into anything. I think the healthier you are, the more interdependent you can become in a really healthy way. And so then it's like, I go to him, it's awesome. We never need to have an affair because we're like sleeping together in a different country every other day.
Amazing.
It's like, this is like, we wake up.
I love it.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Okay, this is amazing. So you talk about it so with such ease, but this idea of yielding, obviously to the Holy Spirit first, but to each other, and just that beautiful dance of like you walking in your calling, Nick walking in his calling, but doing it together with such strength and power. You say it with such ease and it's such effortless. I'm sure it's taken a lot to get there. I mean, obviously you started off your marriage with knowing that you're following the mission and God's call for your life. But as you've lived your life in really a marriage in hyperspeed, what does it look like for you to slow down and to learn each other's gifts and to yield to each other? How did that look when maybe it didn't come as easy before?
I'm not sure that it comes that easy. And Nick is more of a Christian than me. So one of you has to really be a Christian.
That's helpful. Ideally, in a perfect scenario, you know, which gratefully Jennie is saved, so that makes us.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
I honestly think 90% of marriage issues come down to, look, just be a Christian. And so, like,
a real Christian.
Yeah, right.
A real one. And that's sort of what it comes down to. But remember, we married a little bit older. So when you marry around 30 and you sort of, some of the stuff that you still like, for people that marry, 19, 20, 21, 22, you're learning a lot of that stuff.
Your baby's having babies. Yeah.
Totally.
Whereas we married at 30, didn't have our first till 35 and our second 39, nearly 40. So I feel, and we've always had older mentors ahead of us. So in fact, my peers are all got grandchildren, and the people I'm mentoring, my kids are the same age as them, their kids. So I've always had this intergenerational thing, which I think God just knew that I would have needed a lot of help for sanctification. So it's like, I'm going to put people ahead of you, so you can learn 10 years before you even get there. And I think they did that for marriage, for children. So then it helped us learn really early on what's important and what's not, what is worth losing your peace over and what isn't. And so where is it just in your best interest and for the sake of the gospel? Is it just better to yield? Like, it's not, we live in a fallen world. We don't have that many fights. We both know how to press each other's buttons. Like, there's no doubt about it.
You know where the bodies are buried.
And and so it just depends, how much we've both paid attention to our own spiritual disciplines that determines whether you're really going to press or you're just going to go, it's not worth it. Like, I can just yield. I just won't press on that. If I'm having a particularly unsanctified day, I'm going to keep, going at something that is just an irritation. Whereas if I'm sanctified, yielding actually gets you the best response more quickly. Ultimately, you're yielding to the Spirit of God. So you're getting out of the way and letting God get to them. And God is more effective with Nick than I am, because normally if I double down, Nick doubles down. But if I get out of the way, God has a chance to get in their way.
Wow,
Flesh
so
just produces
wisdom.
flesh. Like
So
the
much wisdom.
the wringing of the nose, blood, but the Spirit produces fruit. Yeah, that is. And I think it's so important for people to hear, because I can hear the objection of someone going, well, sure, but it must be nice. You guys are doing all this. God's doing all this through you. But I think it's important to repeat that you guys began these principles when no one knew who you were, when you didn't have offices in 20 countries, when you weren't trotting the globe with a team. These are things that you guys began doing in secret, in the private, and God's amplified in His plan the call in your life. But you're continuing to run the play that you've been running since days of obscurity.
Yeah,
absolutely. We've worked as a team for years and used each other's gifts for the maximization of the kingdom. And when you do that, it's actually more fun. You get to see your partner fulfilled. You get to see your life fulfilled, and God keeps on opening opportunities when you are more interested in His kingdom and the people He's put around you than you are in yourself. He keeps on opening opportunities for you to do what fulfills you. So it's that concept of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you love people around you first, particularly your husband or wife, then God keeps on actually providing the joy and the peace to do all the rest of the things that He's put in your heart to do.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So we just think that God will be most glorified. See, it's to our Father's great glory that we bear much fruit. So we sort of set out that we want our life, our marriage, and the fact that even as just two Christian people that God has put together, that our lives would bear unapologetically, not a little bit, much fruit, because it's to our Father's great glory that we do that. I want people to see our good works. Let your light so shine before men that they will see your good works and glorify your Father that's in heaven. So God's glory is what is at stake here. And so I think when people want to minimize that, what we're minimizing is the glory of God. And so if the glory of God is our ultimate aim, then the quicker I die to self and the quicker Nick dies to self, and we understand that God has made us one flesh for His great glory, then we go, okay, what are the good works that God wants us to do for His great glory? How do we produce much fruit for the glory of God unapologetically? And that means Nick's not my ultimate goal, and I'm not Nick's ultimate goal. God's glory is our ultimate goal. And so it makes it a lot easier to just crucify your flesh, take up your cross and follow Jesus every day, rather than go, okay, I live on this earth just to make Nick happy, or Nick lives on this earth just to make me happy, or we are so insecure we need each other to make ourselves secure. I mean, what a waste of a life on the planet. Find another human being to have to either keep them in check or use them to make me feel secure, when the whole time Jesus is like, I'm here. I can make you feel secure.
I'm here.
Can help you and I can give you a co-laborer where the two of you can work out the messiness of what it is to become one flesh, so that you will glorify me on this earth more than ever. So if the glory of God's what you're after, then I think you should be fruitful, and I think you should be doing good works, and I think your marriage should be being utilized for the glory of God. And it's not like, he did so much ministry and it cost us our marriage. Well, then there's something broken in there.
Yeah.
Get that stuff worked out so that we can, because a byproduct of a great, strong, healthy marriage ought to be a fruitful life and ought to be many good works, both of which result in the glory of God.
So good. I think the best marriage advice we're likely to get is pick up your dang cross, crucify your flesh, and follow me.
Come
That's that
on.
stuff. That's not what people want, Christine. That's what they need
No.
to get. I was going to ask, you alluded to Katie being in England at college. Your Sophie's 16 now, right? So how is kind of marriage changing in the seasons? We're here. We still have a 5-year-old who wet the bed yesterday. So help us out here. You guys are closing in on empty nests. So what does that look like? How is the marriage evolving? What do we have to look forward to?
Nick's in depression. So.
We were literally sitting around the other day, and Katie was off, obviously in the UK. Soph was off doing something, and we're both doing different things, sitting in the kitchen. And we looked at each other and it's like, oh, heck, we could be empty nesters in a couple of years.
Wow.
There's so many great opportunities within that. And it's so fun to watch your kids grow up and excel and do all the things that God has placed in their heart. And at the same time, I just love my kids. My favorite place for my kids to be is in the house, sitting around a table, talking. They make me laugh. They're fun to be around. They're the wittiest, smartest, funniest people I know. So I just love them being here. So it is a heck of an adjustment to be in a place where they may be living in different cities, in different countries, when you just love to have them around. I have been known to walk through Katie's bedroom and just mope as I come out.
Wow.
And
Well,
he
you're
does
such a
this
good
with
dad, though. Nick, you're one of the best girl dads I've ever met. You are
Seriously.
goals to me and an example to me. I mean, obviously, everyone knows Christine is one of the most anointed, gifted preachers, pound for pound, on this planet.
Yes.
Chris, I say that to you. I say that to everybody. The gift on your life, the way you've stewarded it is unbelievable. But Nick as well, as an extreme leader, everyone knows that. But you're a great dad.
Yeah.
You really are such an example to me as a role model of a girl dad. So
I think my girls would tell you that absolutely. And, and it looks like Sophia will go to school in Paris. So he's sort of got one in London, one in Paris. And, it's...
Just keep the razor blades out of reach.
But I love it.
jeez, Nick.
More changes.
The question was, how are you enjoying your marriage? Okay, not how are you going to kill yourself when your daughter goes to school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, but it's awesome. It's just to see them grow up and fulfill their dreams and see them steward the call of God on their life is amazing.
Oh, no, they do give you a shock every now and again. Like on Sunday morning, Catherine texted me from London to go, Mum, what's your favourite gospel? I nearly dropped the phone going, what? Like I didn't Nick, is this what she's actually like?
Not, could you transfer some more money into my account? What's your favorite gospel? Yeah.
As you can obviously tell everyone, this is not a common occurrence. So it's like, I'm like, oh my word, you kind of live for this. I'm screenshotting this for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
It's working. It's
she
working.
goes,
Yes.
I think mine is John. Oh, I love John. John is awesome. Like I'm just like, it was.
I'm on Team John too. That's awesome.
I'm like, wherever you are, that's where I am. So I think, and of course, I've had to navigate that because I'm a woman and have a public profile, obviously, and preach. And I didn't want my daughters being like compared to me or assumptions being made that they would do what I would do. So I think probably one of the best parts of our parenting is that I think you could talk to them both. Neither of them would feel any pressure. Like they don't feel like they're in my shadow at all. They don't feel at all that we have pressured them to have to. So to me, that is a great sign that, to grow up in the public eye and to be girls of a prominent woman, mother figure in that sense. But that would be a testimony to how strong Nick has really helped to father them, because I think that's where strong fathering has been their security and their strength Definitely, they are both daddy's girls. Anybody that knows them will tell you that any day of the week.
Well, you can see that so clearly how they carry themselves. How they talk with people. They are so secure,
Right? Yeah.
and so strong, and so
Comfortable in their
they're
own
so
skin.
precious.
Yeah, but no sense of the entitlement. There's just there's a humility to them.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, any hacks lately? Any date hacks? Obviously, nights with the Caines. Any hacks you can give our audience that just optimizing marriage, fun little things, or even packing, traveling? Any fun new gadgets you guys have come across? Any hacks today?
Any hacks?
We just keep on having fun with each other. So that's ultimately our biggest hack, is we keep on having fun with each other. I do have a new travel door lock that works really great on hotels.
Is it Amazon? Is that Amazon purchase?
Amazon purchase. It'll lock any hotel, so it's any hotel door far better than any of the locks on the door.
So that nobody could come in, even who worked at the hotel.
Yeah. When you're inside the hotel room, the door is locked.
Clover needs this. We have a daughter who's very nervous about hotels. What's it called?
I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will send you a link so that you can.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes and in the YouTube description so the people can get that. And maybe I'll throw it in my brass hacks.
Then they can't open it from the inside.
Yeah, it's easy.
But you can't get out, so you're locked in.
Our daughters love it because it was given to us by a special security person. And you literally cannot come in from the outside.
The only problem is if you die in the room, you're staying in there. That is your tomb. That's your mausoleum.
Blow the door open to get you in. So,
well, listen, we know you guys have a hard out. We could keep going for hours. We can't wait till you're next with us in Montana.
Yeah.
And we just pray God's blessings on your lives and all you do. Thank you.
So thankful for you both. You guys are just such an example to us.
You're awesome. We love you very dearly.
You guys have fun. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for listening. And be sure to swing by levilusko.com to see what's going on in our world, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. In the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media. Jennie and Levi Lusko, out.